Varesa is the brand new Electro 5-star coming to Genshin Impact for version 5.3. So in this video, we're going to go over all of the drip marketing that has been released, but also we know a ton about her kit from different pre-release sources. So we're also going to be talking about her possible best future teams and builds, and whether or not she's going to power creep CLORINDE. I mean, the answer is probably, right? She's Electro DPS. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. All right, Varesa, Strength in Serenity, Stalwart Warrior and Orchard Owner from the Collective of Plenty. When discussing the Collective of Plenty's tribespeople, the first oh my god, this is freaking novel. I don't know if we're going to go through all of this. Stick with me. Praise their universal fitness, followed by a fond recollection of sweet fruits and vegetables, strength and abundance, fresh produce from Varesa, so she makes food, okay? Her fruits are always intoxicatingly sweet, of course they are, and her vegetables smack of rich, crisp petrichor, the taste of freshly rained upon grassland bathed in sunlight. Ooh, that sounds good. I've never heard vegetables sound so good. Over time, people have started erupting in heartsome laughter whenever they SB Varesa from afar, knowing a wonderful feast to be close at hand. That's kind of rude. You just see someone and you laugh. In the children's legends, a certain masked hero shall descend whenever evil beings and monsters run amok, wreathed in lightning, charging at her foes with 3 times the ferocity of a Titanchosaurus. She delivers kicks as explosive as a pyroclastic fallout, sending all the bad guys flying. The hero's battle cry when she executes her finishing move has become a popular catchphrase among the children, and the incredible swiftness of her departure is seen as the benchmark for heroic speed. Astute observers would discover that the areas where Masked Hero meets out justice overlap neatly with the Collective Plenty's trade routes. As was their duty, the patrol team approached their colleague Varesa, asking if she had encountered such an individual, to which Varesa responded while scratching her head and bewilderment, that sounds like a lot like me though? At the unanimous nods of her team members, Varesa, who only just realized what they meant, suddenly felt shy. She vigorously shook her head, saying, "I'll try harder next time. Send the bad guys packing before anyone can even see them. But for now, I'm going to go get something to eat first." All right, I think this is officially the thickest character we've had in Genshin. Based on some of the pre-release information that we have, she's going to be another character with a new model, or at least a heavily altered model. And I'm just so happy personally that we're getting more diversity in models. I just want more different looking characters. When you can look at the silhouette of a character and how they are, and they look different, like more buff men, more differently shaped women, more buff women, more bigger women, etc. So I think the cool part about this is, based on what we know, not only does she appear that way in the splash art here, but she actually looks that way in reality in the game. Overall, I like her design. It's not like my absolute favorite design, but I think it's really unique, and I think that Genshin could definitely use some fresh, unique designs, and I think that this is great. My most unusual pupil, Varesa, nobody pulls off laid back like she does, no matter where she goes. She acts like a little kid on a field trip. All she wants to do is try the local delicacies, then find that cozy spot to camp and sleep. But should you ever face the Abyss's monsters alongside her, look out. Once she dons her mask, her rush tactics can be somewhat aggressive. Ayansin. Varesa, title, Strength and Serenity, Stalwart Warrior and Orchard Owner from the Collective of Plenty, Vision Electro, Constellation, Mascara, Luchador. Seems like, yeah, like Luchador. We've got Luchador fighter vibes. So great. I think her design personally is a win, even though it's not to my specific taste. But I guess let's talk about her kit. So first of all, she is an Electro Plunge DPS. She has a fairly complex combo pattern. Weird elemental burst that you can use multiple times, but it doesn't zoom in for the burst every time. Catalyst user. AoE unknown how crazy. Electro Zhao, Plunge CLORINDE, something like that. Obviously, huge oversimplification. Fast, Electro, Yelan-like traversal? Something like that. Buffed by Natlin units. I guess for some flavor, slams her thighs down to attack opponents. He looks awesome. So this is more or less you can expect. Obviously, you can find out more from other sources, but this is her general information, so you can get an idea of what she does, which I think is cool. It's been a long time since we've had a plunge DPS. I don't think she has more to do than just plunges. It's not just up down. So that's something to note for those people who don't love plunges. Like, she's more like dashing around and then going up and down and then dashing around up and down. It's not just like Zhao where it's like up, down, up, down, up, down. So I think that her gameplay will be more interesting than just that up, down sort of playstyle. All right, so let's go through her teammates so that we can talk about what sort of teams Varesa is going to be part of. I'm not going to deal with too much like free to play stuff right now. Like really like we're not going to talk about really cope niche stuff. Let's talk about the stronger stuff first. So as an attack scaler, Bennett should be good, but as we'll talk about probably tomorrow when Genshin does the drip marketing for Ayansin, she will be sort of like a better Bennett for Electro. So make sure you subscribe for that video because that's going to be heat. It's going to be really, I'm really excited. I feel like Ayansin's going to be completely always better than Fischl. I don't know if you could call Fischl a good teammate, or if I feel like she's going to be so much worse than Ayansin that it's like, let's try it, but I don't think like it'll be really any good. I think Sucrose, like, hey, past Thrilling Tales, Swirls, should be a good teammate. Mona, let's try it. I don't think, Mona is best when you can vape. So probably not Mona. Like, probably the damage bonus is fine, I guess. But yeah. Xiangling works in Chevre's teams. So let's try it. Xingqiu, she won't be having time to normal attack too much. Beto's really not doing well lately in terms of meta. DPS, you don't want EM. Zhongli, I don't think there's any room for Zhongli here. I think it's tough. Like maybe she'll kind of need a shielder, but I don't know. She doesn't need EM, so we'll not bother with Albedo. There's no melting going on. So these guys can all go here. Kazuha, I don't know. I mean, they should be fine, right? I'm gonna put them here for now. Kujo Sara, let's try it. I don't have high hopes. I think her uptime is much longer than Kujo Sara would be good for. Toma, I think only buffs plunge, but Chevra stuff still could be okay. Normal attack. I don't think that Yai will do anything very good here. I don't think we need to bother with Kuki. I don't think there's gonna be enough normal attacks for Yelan. Okay, so aggravate. People are always going to try and play aggravate with everything. I think that Varesa will not be too good in aggravate. We'll try it, of course, because which is an electro carry, everyone's going to want to play aggravate, but aggravate is all about amplifying small hits, and the stronger the character's multipliers are, the worse aggravate is. So that's why CLORINDE is not as good in aggravate as she should be, because like she is good in aggravate, but her best teams are the teams that take advantage of her really high multipliers, which are Chevre's teams. So aggravate falls behind. Varesa should be even more like that, because at least CLORINDE does a ton of hits. So even though, yeah, she does a ton of hits, so you still get value from aggravate, whereas Varesa doesn't do as many hits, and the hits she does are stronger. So, we'll try aggravate, but I do not have high expectations. Nahida, of course, we'll try it out. Cryo has no synergy. Dea, we'll see if we need Dea's interruption resistance. Same with Baiju. All Dendros are kind of the same for this. They all apply Dendro and give a small EM buff. It's basically what we're dealing with for all the Dendro carries. I think, obviously, Farina should be quite good. I think Farina should be quite a good teammate. Shen. So Shen is obviously a plunge buffer, but at least from what I'm seeing from pre-release calculations, and also just what we know about multipliers, but especially the pre-release calculations, Shen isn't looking as good as Chevre's stuff. So it could be that they buff her plunge stuff more throughout the pre-release, but at this point, it's looking sort of like a second best team to Chevre's stuff. So we'll put her there. Auroron's sort of looking like he's going to be a worse Ayansin, just across the board. Moika is going to be part of her best in slot team. Tilali, Nowheresville, Power Traveler should be like a solid option. And I would think Lanyan is a fine option. So this is sort of basically what we're looking at. And then you have Ayansin and Chevre's. Where's Chevre's? I just put Chevre's somewhere and didn't even see. There. I just put her in B tier or whatever. So it'll be basically her best in slot team will be Varesa, Chevre's, Moika, and Ayansin. Same best in slot teammate as CLORINDE. And so this is where we're going to talk about whether or not she's better than CLORINDE. But basically we'll talk about that in just a second. But that'll be her best team, and then her second best team is probably going to be the Shanyan, Farina. I think it was Ayansin plunge, and then I'm sure Shalon and stuff is fine. I'm sure Bennett's still good. etc. This is a really challenging thing because CLORINDE's best in slot team will also be Muika, Chevreuse, Ayansin. So it's obviously going to be one or the other. It's going to be very bad to have both in your account. And Varesa being newer should be stronger. So what we're seeing right now is something like 100k or 97k free-to-play DPS for Varesa, and something like 93k free-to-play DPS for CLORINDE. But before we all doom CLORINDE, which I know you all love to do, this is R5 Widset, which you have to reset for, and this is 60% uptime Harbinger of Dawn. So I'm not saying that CLORINDE is better than Varesa. I expect Varesa to be better than CLORINDE overall, but this isn't really a very fair comparison because Widsith is an R5. Widsith is sort of a fake weapon because you have to reset for it. It's a gotcha weapon. You have to get it R5, whereas Harbinger of Dawn is a free-to-play, 3-star weapon that she doesn't even have good synergy with because she can only get 60% uptime because she kills her own HP. So she doesn't always get the buff from it. But she has such bad free-to-play options on this team because there's so many attack buffs that she doesn't have a good option. So I'm going to wait for calculations of both of these characters at Refinement 1. I would expect a much smaller gap. So I would expect Varesa, I expect her, she has a great weapon as well as does CLORINDE. Varesa's weapon is cracked. So I expect, 100 and some odd DPS for Varesa and a little bit less for CLORINDE, but I expect the gap to be closer. So I expect Varesa to power creep CLORINDE and be the best Electro DPS, and I expect CLORINDE to be a little bit worse than her, but still pretty competitive, to be honest. And we'll see, and we'll see with the gameplay. Maybe Varesa is even easier to play. Maybe her AoE is actually crazy, and maybe she'll even feel better, and maybe not. Maybe she'll be kind of tricky to play. Maybe her AoE will be a bit janky, and maybe CLORINDE will stay better. But I expect Varesa to be better, and we'll get changes to the kits as they go through the beta. And of course, whether or not a character is better for you can also depend on what weapons and what teammates you have. One huge problem, however, regardless of who is better overall, the fact is, Chevreuse C6 is needed for both, and Ayansin C6 is not C6, but we'll talk about Ayansin, at least some copies of Ayansin, not necessarily C6, but Ayansin's needed for both best teams. You get Ayansin on Varesa's banner, you get Chevreuse on CLORINDE's banner, and the 4-star problem is still a huge problem. I'll make that video very soon. So either way, you're kind of damned. You're kind of damned either way. You're screwed either way. You're either, if you go for Ayansin constellations for your CLORINDE, you'll probably get Varesa constellations. If you go for Chevreuse constellations for your Varesa, you probably have multiple copies of CLORINDE or Raiden. So it's kind of like no matter what, you're kind of screwed. And I really don't like this 4-star reliance. Not reliance. I just don't. It's fine. It's fine that they're 4 stars. I just want them to be more accessible. And we'll talk about that soon. So I'm pretty excited for Varesa. I think she looks really cool. I think she looks very strong. We'll see how good her other teams are as well, because that's another argument you could make for CLORINDE is are CLORINDE's aggravate teams, especially the Shallonen ones, are CLORINDE's electrocharge teams, are they better than Varesa's other options? So like maybe Varesa has the highest peak, but CLORINDE's more flexible. I don't know if that will be true. We will just have to wait and test. And of course, as I build and test every character, we will find that out for sure. So let me know your thoughts. Take care. Bye for now.